A power outage at Rand Water's Eikenhof plant left large parts of Johannesburg without water. That issue has seemingly been resolved, but now various areas in the northwest and south are experiencing shortages. eNCA reporter Pule Letshwiti-Jones has more. Pule, good morning to you. What's the latest you can tell us about some of these issues with regards to water?
Yeah, definitely. Good morning, Dumelo. Vast areas of Johannesburg have been running out of water, and of course this can be caused by, a number of issues, including also infrastructure decay and of course some pipe bursts as well. We are currently standing in Lenasia, of course, in Joburg, where you can see on your screen residents trying to fix and make sure that the issue of this pipe is resolved. They've come out to also clean and try to push away the water from their gates as well. It's affecting a lot of areas and of course community members in this area where we are right now. We were told that in this very same street the pipe was repaired yesterday, but it seems as though the pipe again is becoming quite problematic. Now what this will do is that seemingly the water pressure will be low and eventually taps will run dry, and of course these are some of the concerns residents have been complaining about. But they are saying they've reported the matter to Joburg Water and Rand Water, but seemingly they're still waiting to see if this pipe that has bursted will be repaired immediately. Let me speak to some of the residents here in Lenasia. They join me right now. So thank you very much for chatting to us. The issue of water, how is it affecting you in this area?
Morning. Firstly, I've got to commend our councillor for these problems that we're having on this Johannesburg Avenue for some time now. What's happening is we have a lot of issues where the water was giving us an issue where he has it repaired today, tomorrow it's done. So what he's done is obviously he's promised us as residents that he is going to resolve this problem once and for all. And being a councillor for this area, we must commend him for one reason, is because when we are in our warm beds, this councillor is out 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning when he gets a call to come and resolve this issue. And I don't doubt him at all when he says there is a budget that's put in place and he's going to have this problem resolved for us. And I would really appreciate that, the government does assist us in this and assist him in getting this sorted out for the Lenasians.
When it comes to your daily livelihood, how does this affect you? Of course, water is essential, but if pipes like this will burst out of the blue, unexpected, how does it affect you?
Well, water is a commodity. It's a must. We must have water. And if we don't have water, everything stands. Like today, for example, the business, there's nothing we can do in our business, for example. The guys just refuse to come to work. They say, listen, there's nothing to do because we've got no water. And that affects us quite a bit, especially the homeowners as well. We can't do anything at home. We need to do cooking, we need to cook, we need to drink water, we need to have baths. And this keeps us back from all those things.
Thank you very much, Shisa. Obviously, saying water is a commodity, but of course your daily hustle will be affected. How do you feel? How is this affecting you as well as a resident?
Hi, good day, sir. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you to the television crew, I think it's eNCA, for coming and giving people a first-hand understanding of the serious problem we have with water. As an educator, we're preaching conservation of water, and this is probably a weekly type of incident where we have burst pipes. And like the gentleman you spoke to earlier on, I would like to echo similar sentiments. Our councillor, very popularly known as the beloved Imran Musa, is going out of his way, he's daily here, and I think like the man earlier alluded, he's here all the time. Whilst I was sleeping, he woke me up to tell me, sorry, I have to tell you once again the pipe is burst and I'm back here on the same scene. So first and foremost, we're in a lucky position that we have someone in the stature of, he likes the name beloved Councillor Imran Musa, and he's hands-on. The fact that he's got a new portfolio, a new designation as a chairman, I'm not too sure what that abbreviation stands for, but I'm sure it's environment. And the fact that he's involved with the environment, I'm quite certain that he's going to look at this entire approach of the degradation of the nature and the surrounds from a different perspective. I think you also asked the gentleman about the effect it has on us. I'm from education, and I can tell you it has a tremendous adverse effect on schools. When there's no water, we are pretty much compelled to close the schools. So we run it on a short-term basis, meaning we'll keep the learners there for a while, it's exams, and after exams, in all likelihood, we would send them home.
Okay. Thank you very much. Just to save time, I'll come back to you later, but I want to speak to, of course, the Chairperson, Environment and Infrastructure in Johannesburg, of course, serving on that portfolio, Mr. Musa. Thank you very much for chatting to us. This is a concern. Residents are paying taxes, but this is really unacceptable.
Correct. Thank you so much, Mr. Pule. So from my side, I love to, inform the residents of Johannesburg that with the new portfolio, I like to express myself very factually and truthfully. The state of affairs in the council has been very unstable in terms of the politicking that has been taking place in the last year, you would say. And I think it's now stabilized. There's now a budget that's been approved. And as at the 1st of July, much of the infrastructure that we have in the city is allocated for and budgeted for, and I'm hoping that we can access these budgets to ensure that much of the infrastructure in and around Johannesburg is resolved. So like you can see here, this is one of the projects that has been running on for years, even before I became a councillor. And with the CAPEX budget today, as I'm sitting and talking to you now, there is an emergency meeting to ensure that the budgets are allocated so that we can replace the piping. And the major problem that we're having is because of the fact that there's old infrastructure in many of the areas that we're having. And it's not easy for the city to allocate these budgets in as much as whatever the situation is. But somewhere along the line, now with the new portfolio, I would like to increase the communication, number one, between the entities. And
sorry, Richard, I was about to say communication is something which many residents are complaining about.
Correct.
Some would log, in complaints with the relevant departments like City Power or Joburg Water, Rand Water. But the response time to turn around situations sometimes takes a bit of time as well.
Yes, I must say here in Lenasia, in particular, as a ward councillor, there hasn't been a situation where within 24 hours I can comfortably say Johannesburg Water has come out here and resolve the problem. In as much as there's old infrastructure, we've managed to just contain our budgets with the mega budgets that we have, and they resolve the problem by replacing the piping up until we have the proper budget to ensure that this whole piping is replaced. It's quite a large extent for this piping to be replaced, and I'm sure there's many other places also in Johannesburg, like Orange Farm, for example, is one of the areas that this morning we're talking about and we're going to resolve in terms of emergency piping to be replaced.
Are you also looking at the Eikenhof plant as well? Because residents from, Rudiport to Krugersdorp as well, which I will be going to, have been complaining. But also, what seemingly is the problem here? Because just recently there was a pipe repaired in the same street, but today again, I think it was yesterday, today again, this pipe burst again. So clearly there's an issue here.
Yes. So sure, so from a layman's perspective or from residents' perspective, it's very important to understand that, like I said earlier, the instability of the political atmosphere in council has delayed some of these processes. But one thing I can assure you is that remember that the processes are of such a nature that you need all the different departments. For example, if you look at this pipe burst, it takes public lighting because there is cables running here and we need to replace these piping. So we need all the different departments to approve these budgets. For example, public lighting, the Johannesburg Roads Association, every other department. And by the time all these get the protocols are completed, we then have to implement what we have to do here. And we are busy with this. Trust me, with this new portfolio, I'm hoping to make a tremendous difference in terms of communications and especially in terms of replacing much of the old infrastructure that's costing the money, that's costing the city a lot of money.
Thank you very much. Of course, that's the chairperson, Dumelo, serving on that newly formed portfolio which looks into environment and infrastructure in the city of Johannesburg. You've heard from residents, the water issues affecting them, particularly with businesses and of course in schools as well. If there isn't any water, then it becomes a setback for many areas in this community. We're still waiting to see what will be the update. We are told that the Rand Water and of course Johannesburg Water has been contacted in terms of trying to fix this issue here. But this stems from a range of challenges, including vandalism and cable theft as well, which will have a knock-on effect on some of the operations of the flow of water in the city of Johannesburg. From now, we'll be, of course, going to other areas as well, such as in Krugersdorp, where we heard that residents haven't had water for about 3 days, which is something which is quite, affecting their livelihoods and daily operations as well. There's quite a numerous areas, though, in the south of Johannesburg, including Soweto as well, which have been affected due to the Eikenhof plant as well.